This piece that is behind us. How did you tap into this part of you as a painter?
I wouldn't even consider myself a proper painter because I cannot paint like a good landscape or a face. This is more like a code. It's a portal, really programmed to a certain frequency, and you can see it's alive.
Now, ayahuasca has been a part of your journey.
She's showing me how to make the traces. She would tell me like, look at this if you want to paint. And I was like, yeah, I'm looking. And she's like, no, you have to look. Let the frequency guide you. One of the new things that I did was these straight lines here, sun rays, golden. It's a new color for me. It feels so important in this moment because the golden age and the golden frequency.
Spirit was coming through you and just guiding. What was that like in this experience?
Well, I will actually like to tell you the story.
You call in the spirit of creation, the breath behind the brush, the silence behind the sound, the vision before the form. We welcome the geometry of life, the pulse of the ancestors, the memory in the pattern, the great remembering that moves through this painting. May this conversation be a portal. May each word, each pause, each gaze reveal what cannot be spoken. We honor the artist, the vessel, the healer, Frankko, and the sacred code that lives within him. Aho. Mm. Mm.
Hmm.
Hmm. So I first got to know you through sound. And as I got to know you, you shared that you really feel your calling is a frequency. Um, I want to say investigator, but
Yeah.
yeah, really into that space. I think for a lot of us, we get put in the box of sound, and yet we sit here, and as I've gotten to know you, I've seen so much of your other art. And this piece that is behind us right now, that's with us, is not from sound, although I'm sure sound has a lot to do with it.
Hmm.
And so I'm curious, before we kind of get into that, how did you tap into this part of you, the artist, as a painter?
Yes, so it's really interesting because the way that I started with art was through music, and then it all started to unfold that more than music, it was really a frequency investigation, a research about frequency, and music was just a part of it. And it was really beautiful because I went to Peru with the Shipibos to make diet for 4 months. I stay there taking ayahuasca every 2 3 days and other medicine plants for 4 months. And I was gonna stay alone in the jungle, so I brought a lot of instruments because I was like, for sure, I'm gonna be playing and going deep into my music. And right before I entered the jungle, I entered this shop and they had a notebook and some nice pens. And I just felt and I bought them. And when I came to the jungle, it just, the medicine just started to show me. Like I could see in my vision hands with brushes and just, she showing me how to make the traces. And she would tell me, like, yeah, but you have to look. look at this. If you want to paint, you have to look. And I was like, yeah, I'm looking. And she's like, no, you have to look. And so she make me look more deep, you know? And these 4 months, I didn't play music almost.
Mm.
I just stay painting. And when I was a little boy, I used to paint a lot. And I always knew that it was going to come back. But I thought it was going to be when I was like old. I don't know why.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yeah, I really feel that the medicine really reactivated this part of me. And also through the medicine, I started to connect with sacred geometry. And I had a friend that she started to talk to me about the flower of life. And then I started to see it everywhere. It just, she like unlocked it. And then I just like, it opened for me. And then she saw that it was so exciting that she wanted to give me a book and tell me all these meanings about the flower of life. And I stopped her. I say, I don't want any books. I don't want any information. I just want to paint the flower of life to see what happens, you know? Let her teach me. So I just started to paint the flower of life, and it just never stopped.
What does so in through your experimentation experimentation in your work with the flower of life, your connection to it, what is there how would you describe it to you? What does it mean to you?
Well, for me, the flower of life is the mother of all symbols. It's present in all living things, in all dimensions. It's like many of the religions use the flower of life to do their sacred symbols. So I really feel that it's part of us. We are part of it. It's what is weaving all this together in a way, you know?
Mm.
So I really feel that it's a code that help us remember. And it's also a code that help us to flourish, to open. You can really feel when you look at it how it's like a toroid. When you look at from up, it's really opening up. So it can really help you to open all your different energetic points, you know?
Mm.
Hmm.
Now, ayahuasca has been a part of your journey, and you've shared with me kind of off camera some of the ways that you've worked with the grandmother and, deep in the research of frequency, even as much as going into the jungle by yourself for days to investigate and carry new frequencies. What's that experience been like? How would you describe that to someone who
Hmm.
that's a very foreign concept?
Yeah, it just started to come to me because it it just happened that the medicine came to me and I was starting to serve the medicine. And I'm a musician, but I'm not an interpret, so I don't know many songs.
Mhm.
And it would happen that I'm in the ceremony and I sing the 5 songs that I know, and then I don't know any more songs, and there is a whole ceremony still ahead, you know. So yeah, it's a lot about really just trusting and just let the frequency guide you. It's like what I say with music. We want to make music and we want to make a beautiful melody and a beautiful poetry. But the way that I work with music is instead of trying to make music, is just letting the music come to you. So it's really about just opening up to see what the vibration show you about yourself.
Mm.
And it starts like this inner journey to self-discovery, you know. It's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely been on the receiving end of a lot of that just beautiful channeled frequency. And One of the things that I always marvel at is your ability to make sounds with no instrument but your own body. Yeah, I wondered if you'd be open to sharing just like kind of like a snapshot of a few of the frequencies that you've been able to tap into that I'd say largely most people haven't done yet.
Hmm.
Yeah, and just, for people listening right now or watching, they can, get just a little taste.
But why do you laugh? It's serious.
I'm so serious. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. To the divine frequency. Yeah. Hey.
Hmm. Thank you. Okay, so back to the painting. You told me before that as you're working on a painting, you get a transmission for what the next one is going to be. And so, what was it about this one as you were doing your previous painting that came through that was different and more maybe expansive than what you had created before?
Well, the interesting thing about this is that I wouldn't even consider myself like a proper painter because I cannot paint like a good landscape or a face or this is completely different. This is more like a code. It's a portal. So it's really programmed to a certain frequency and you can see it's alive. So it's really emanating this frequency in the place where it is. And so the code, every time I'm working on it, it's like I get the instructions for the next code. So it's kind of like the code is getting more and more complex. So, for example, this painting, one of the new things that I did was these straight lines here that it gives this, the sun rays.
Mm.
And also the golden, it's a new color for me. I never use golden and it feels so important in this moment because the golden age and the golden frequency. So yeah, it's really, and I mean, there is also more new details, but I don't think that if I explained you would understand.
Mhm.
But yeah, like for the next painting, I already have, like I say, now when I'm working on it, the next one is already like cooking, you know?
Mhm. Any sneak peek into what the next painting may offer, or do we wanna keep that a secret right now?
I would like to keep that
Yeah,
a secret,
I
yes.
figured. What did you learn about yourself in this process of creating this painting and bringing it to life?
It's really interesting because this piece is for a friend of mine. His name is Robbie. And so we sat down and I asked him what is the frequency he wanted imprinted in the painting. So he told me that he wanted healthy and creative abundance. And it's really synchronic because I'm in this research as well. So it was very synchronic. And I didn't really plan how it was going to turn out, but I just started to paint and I started with the green color. It just felt like really abundant and the trees, and so I started with the green, and without even thinking about it, I started with the gold right after the green. And then I realized, like, oh wow, this is really strong, like the power, the money, the gold, it was like even too strong for me, like I spent a while because I work by color. So a while just with the gold and the green. And it was like, oh, wow, this is too much. But then it was beautiful because then the brown came in, and the brown just, it settled it, it gave roots to it. So it was interesting to feel that when you have a lot of power, you need a lot of grounding to ground this power.
Mm.
And then in the end of the brown, it came the the golden pyramid. So when you actually get to ground all this power, you get to the wisdom of the golden pyramid.
Mm.
So all this was, revealing itself through the painting. And then, of course, it came like the pinks and the purples, because to really reach the true abundance of life, you need love and passion. You really need to have the fire, lit. And then it comes the golden ring in the middle, and this is representing the commitment to your soul and to your heart, because the true abundance is not just money and power.
Mm.
So if you really want the true abundance, you need to put yourself the golden ring and have the commitment to your soul, and then you can reach your center sun that is right in the middle.
Mm.
Yeah, so all this was unfolding through the painting. And yeah, just seeing how the art is really a messenger. I speak a lot about the goddess of music and frequencies, and it's really, for me, the biggest tool that I found really to go deeper in myself. Hmm.
Yeah, it's I've been able to see it at various stages, and I told you when I walked in today, the center was the kind of the last piece that you completed, and it surprised me
Hmm.
because I didn't anticipate that. And as you were describing the green and the gold and how much power that holds, yeah, I recognize like the heart in the middle and the love of just like really just balancing that out in such a beautiful way.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really so beautiful.
Hmm.
What do you hope, and maybe that's not even the right word, but when someone receives this, and not just Ravi, anyone who walks into the space and is activated by this, like, do you have thoughts on, the best way to connect where we can get out of our monkey brain that's trying to figure stuff out and like how to truly connect to this portal?
Hmm. Well, I feel that it's really just about just sit in quiet, and without me putting any expectations, just open and see what happens when you actually look at it. Just open, because it's, like I said, it's alive, and when you're actually letting this energy come, it start to move things. So I feel that I really don't want to create any expectation of what do I want to happen.
Mhm.
but just want the people to just receive it with an open heart. And I also say this to people with music. When I'm gonna play music, I ask the people to open their ears in a more subtle way, because it's important. You can listen or you can look, but there is different ways to look and listen. And I feel that we have a lot of protections because there is so much information coming that we kind of like have to unshield ourselves to really connect to the things. And yeah, like with the music, for example, I always say that we have to be responsible of the music that we let enter our system,
Mm.
because we are frequency, and that is a frequency that is completely entering us. And the truth is that the music that is coming out now is really produced to lower vibration. We can see it's most of it is going to the sex chakra, lowering it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's pretty obvious what it's doing. So there is music that is made specifically for aligning and for tuning. So it's really important that we get more and more responsibility of what we let in our system.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because I think that is lost on so many of us. And it's something that I've been tuning into a bit more recently and just in my exploration of like, frankly, like, why the fuck am I here? And like, what is this reality that I've chosen? And as I peel back the layers and pulled on the threads and found that a lot of it is just not true in the sense that I've been told it is. Music, it's so interesting. I think about growing up and how the Christians were against rap and all these other types of music, and I thought they were fucking crazy, and they were by and large speaking the truth about something. And so I'd love to just go a little bit deeper here because I think it lands for I would hope it lands for most people when you say that these are operating at a lower frequency, particularly in the kind of sex chakra. And then when you layer in the words and the spells that come with that, it's really powerful. And it's no surprise when we look at kids today, they're faced with having to deal with that. And for almost all of them, it's probably very unconscious. They don't realize it. And so I love to just put that out there in a way that is not alarmist, but to your point, like we need to take responsibility for what we're letting in. And so, yeah, I'd love for you to just dive a little deeper on that, what that means to you.
Yeah, well, like you said, we happen to be finding out that we have to unlearn and relearn so much of what they taught us, and just really realizing that we have to take more care of ourselves, and when I go to the city or when I go to other places, I feel like we are like sponges and we are taking a lot in. So it's really clear for me that, like I said, no, this responsibility of the frequency. It's a word that we are using a lot, but if we really realize that we are tuned to a certain frequency and everything is affecting the field, so then we start to take more care of what is around us and what is around our children. And you also start to realize, like, for example, when I put my daughter a very strong film, I can see what happens. She can get more aggressive right away.
Mhm.
So yeah, what I would really like to share is really to be attent and present, and don't just assume it's like this. Just, question, if is this really good for me? Is this really good for my family? And I feel that we can make a lot of research, but we really have to learn to tune in more and more to our intuition.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Because, I mean, especially now with AI, we have all the answers in our hand. But the truth is that we have to take a lot of decisions all the time. And we can solve this with our minds all the time, but I really prefer to go by the heart.
Yeah, I love that, and if I'm hearing you, I think a lot of us can relate to people in our life that there's not an alignment, and a lot of times we override that with the mind, and we make excuses, reasons for why they should be in our lives, and, um but ultimately, there's a distortion in that relationship. And in much the same way that we can identify that, and again, we don't make changes. I think I've been really attuned to that lately and calling in kind of the right people and again on the right frequency. Um, it's what Ty and I are doing with Unlearned Ventures. We're really tuning into, with at the risk of sounding too woo-woo, like the harmonics of what's out there and what are these companies truly in service to? What is this founder in service to? And so when we take that idea of people and we bring it into art, such as music, art as in painting, art as in movies, television, and things like what we're putting in our body. I think a lot of us, I've certainly had my relationship with alcohol. Um, it's not been a part of my life for quite a while now, but I know through my own experience that my mind was overriding the distortion that was in the field. Everyone else is doing it. Everyone's having fun. There's all these reasons, and I've just recognized that fun, and I don't necessarily know David Hawkins' scale of consciousness, but fun is such a lower vibration in relation to joy
Mm.
and resonance. And I've recognized that, I mean, look, the fact that you've come into my life recently, Dr. Stephen Young, Daniel, Brian Leggett, and I'm calling in brothers that were part of my life previously because they're all bringing this beautiful medicine. And I just feel so held, seen, and I feel very clear when I'm in that container. And when I get out of it, it doesn't mean I have to rush back to it, but can I hold that signal in a distorted field and not dip into what's maybe happening
Mm.
in that field, right? There's a saying that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, when you're in another container, and maybe these aren't your 5 closest friends, but, I think the real call is to, yes, to stay centered and just trust, as you said, in your heart, in your intuition, that this is who I am, and I'm not called to put on a mask to make them feel better about who they are because I'm, again, not to judge, but like
Mm.
changing my frequency.
Mhm.
You know, I think the real gift is to stay in that alignment and allow the opportunity for the others to maybe attune. It's not that it's better or worse, but that's me. That's my, that's my who I am.
Mm.
It's something that I've been really trying to sit with in prayer. And can I just hold that when as I said earlier, there's distortion in the field. And, for you, you're not always surrounded by your brothers and sisters that are, on a similar journey. And so how do you keep your channel clear, your signal clear and rooted in who you are when you're around people that are, let's just say it, like way different, right? Maybe they're in the finance world and they're really drawn to money and power. And I know that you show them love. And yeah, what's your orientation to that type of setting?
Mm. Well, in the beginning, you said that sometimes we have people that are not so aligned and are close, and we make excuses to have them close. I feel that one of the most powerful things we can do is just be real and truth. Just be the more you can be. And of course, if you are really you, this might take some people away, of course. But this is just gonna accelerate like the natural the natural process
Mm.
of attraction, of the law of attraction. So I really feel that the more real we are, everything is just accelerating to our own, uh, just to put us in our true path. Some people will go, but other people will come that are much more in tune to your frequency. So, I mean, sometimes it's sad to have some people get a little bit far, but I I feel that it, it's part of life. And coming back to the question of how do I keep myself, I'm still learning. I am still learning that because it's really strong to always keep your center. I feel that it's also a dance. Like for me, it's a big struggle that when I'm home, I do everything that I need to do, and I wake up early and make the ice bath and yoga and do all the things that is good for me. And then when I travel, it's so difficult for me, and I start to feel guilty. And then it's like we just have to accept also what's happening now. Of course, I can be stronger and be more disciplined, and I'm working on it, but also just accept it, and accept that you're not going to be the exact same people when you're with your five best friends than when you are in the city. You might have to actually protect yourself when you go to some places, or some places you cannot be just like, you know so I feel that there is also this intelligence of just knowing when and where to be. And also, there is sometimes where the best thing is just to stay quiet.
Mhm. Yeah, and I love we had a great conversation by the volcano when you were talking about how you were working on your relationship with one particular substance, and I was having a similar kind of, call it struggle, or just a lot of questioning around my relationship with a particular substance. And we both recognize that part of our way in the world is to push those boundaries, to be in, let's call it a great relationship with something, and then push it, push it, maybe get to the edge, maybe go over the edge and then bring it back, and to just not make that part of us wrong. And I think that's such, again, that's coming through for me in this season. It's like to do it with discernment, absolutely. And it's how I show up in the world. Like I'm super curious
Mm,
and like I need to know at a soul level, and often it'll come out in through the ego, but it's really my genuine curiosity to know myself through these different experiences. And I love what you said, like there's like just being an acceptance of that.
mm,
And when we do put on the mask that we're, upon reflection, we're like, ugh, don't love that mask. it's just revealing that there's a part of me that still needs some work. And there's like a blind spot there where I'm feeling whether I'm not enough or I have to change who I am around a particular person or a group of people or whatever the environment is. And so I love that you brought that up about acceptance. And I think we're shown so many images of people that are doing all the things and they've got their life dialed in and it's what we're being shown. And I've lived that before. And there's benefits to that. And there's benefits of cycling off that, like Stephen talks about the hermetic law of rhythm. It's like when I really started to accept myself, it's when I really understood the law of rhythm. And it's that I can be on this high and dialed in and everything firing. And eventually it's gonna swing the other way where it may feel a little distorted. I may feel like I've lost my way,
Hmm.
but it's just me coming back so that I can recharge and find, more clarity on that path. And yeah, like what's your orientation to that in this season as we spoke about it maybe a month or so ago, but like what has come up for you where, the ego wants to say, "Ah, fuck, dude, be better than that." But truly it's like it's actually who I am. It's part of who I am.
Hmm. Well, I have to deal with this a lot, because there is this feeling of kind of like insatisfaction. Like I've been really working a lot of this feeling that it's always pushing me. In a way, I think that I have this push of always wanting to, get better and also be very curious and taking everything just to the limit, but it's coming more and more strong that it's just yeah, like the true opportunity of just accepting, and just okay, this is it, like this is who I am now. We've been talking also a lot about trusting divine perfection and really realizing like for this moment I'm exactly how I'm supposed to be, and I'm getting there. Like I feel that 85% of myself is there, but there is still like this 15% that it's like, still trying to make me feel unsatisfied about myself at some points, And this is really something that I'm working on, putting a lot of attention, because I feel that this is one of the biggest gifts, actually, just to embrace life, embrace yourself, and understanding that the way we are is perfect for this moment. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go to that. Yeah. I'm curious when you're painting, what is in the space with you? Do you work with any plant medicines? Are you listening to music? If so, what are the plant medicines? What's the music? Like, what's part of your process when you're getting ready to step into the space?
Yeah, well, I always get like in a deep state to really connect what is it going to work, no? If it's frequent, if the frequency that is activating is going to be abundance, what's the colors that is gonna, make this frequency. So this is one part of it, and I'm always making ceremonies, so I always, when I'm in the medicine space, I feel that I'm working with my art as well, when this is coming. I'm always, if I have one of my paintings or a sculpture or something, it always comes to me in the moment of the medicine, and it starts to come information about the piece, And I paint a lot in silence. I paint a lot with music, but I'm sometimes like, okay, now it's silence. I just need to be in silence. But for this piece, it was really interesting and funny. I love jazz, but I'm not a really jazzy guy that put jazz all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But this was really jazzy. And I feel that it was this creative abundance because were saying this abundance that you just have to think outside the box, you know? And jazz feels like this, you know, it's really creative and it's outside the box and it's just like you need to know all the rules then to break them.
Mm-hmm.
So I really felt like a lot of jazz, and I just listened pretty much to only jazz when I was painting this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I was like, this one is jazzy.
Wi- Was there a time, were there times, and it sounds like the answer is yes, because we spoke about it a little bit earlier, but I'm really curious about when you're when you're really locked in, where you weren't the one that was painting, that like spirit was coming through you and just guiding. What was that like in this experience?
Well, I will actually like to tell you the story. I was making a expo. I was preparing like 10 paintings and I was going to start a new one. And I was sitting looking at the white canvas for a long time, just feeling into it for a long time. And then it just came. Just I didn't even think about it. I just stand up and go to the painting and start to paint. And normally one painting, that one was not so big. It was maybe like 60 by 60 centimeters. So it was not such a big piece, but maybe for that piece I would normally take like 50 to 60 hours to paint.
Mhm.
That painting I painted it in 14 hours
Whoa.
without stopping, without anything. So, yeah. And then when I looked at it, I realized that that was the code that I was going to work with. So, after that painting, I've been only painting. This is a code. And if you see my other paintings, you can see that there is a code going on. So, I know there will be a time where I will be painting other things as well. But now my painting is committed to this formula, this code. Yes.
Mm. How do how do people, by the way, how do people get in touch with you to, to purchase your paintings, for lack of a better way to say it?
Yes. Well, I have Instagram.
Okay.
It's Franco Vivo with two Ks, and you can contact me through there. I'm not such a big social media, but I really want to start doing these things. And yeah, I mean, I sell my prints and I also have commissions. Like I said, this one is a specific commission. So yeah, just contact me. And also, we spoke about this in the last podcast. I'm building a temple in Brazil.
Mhm.
So also, if anybody would be interested to make a like shamanic retreat or art retreat in Brazil, they can also contact me.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about, I love the origin story of the town and the community you're in, and just kind of speak to that, and how vibrant and activated and unique that that area is, and
Mm.
just so people have a, it's a bit of a differentiator from, any other just, journey down to Brazil or Peru or wherever.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna start saying I was backpacking for 7 years. I was backpacking for over 60 countries. And I thought I was just gonna continue traveling. I consider myself a nomad, and really I was just in the road, you know. Then I came to this little town in Brazil, which some people were asking me without me being there if I was from there. So I would like, by the fifth person told me this, I was like, okay, I need to see what is this
And you
place.
grew up in Mexico City.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah, 25 million people city, and this is a 5,000 people town. And I don't live in town, I live out of town.
Yeah.
So I came to this place. It's a national park, a little town in the middle of a national park, full of waterfalls, crystals. It's like the Great Canyon, but with a rainforest. So really, the landscape is like, oh my god. But I would never stay in a place living if it was paradise only for the place.
Mhm.
But then when I realized what was going on there, I was like, wow, what is this place? And in the 90s, this French gypsy, he is from family of circus. He was traveling in Bahia, and he just came to this town and he decided to make a circus and a circus school. And Paolo is such a beautiful person. He passed last year, and he's actually why we are all there. He is like, the director of the caravan.
Hmm.
And then it got famous for the circus, so it started the circus festival, and artists start to come to this town because of the circus. And then like 10 years later, this Italian piano player and theater actor, amazing, amazing musician and actor, he decided to stay there and make a music school. So it just started to happen. Now there is like a lot of classes, singing, all kind of music, dancing, a lot of painters, writers. It's also a very healing place, so it's a lot of healing, different kind of healing things going on. We are building two temples there, and we have ceremonies at least once a month, like big ceremonies. And it's like the amount of art and creativity that you find in a city, but you're in the middle of a national park with a river, with waterfalls. So I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna stay here. And I always knew that I don't like to pay rent, and I didn't really want to build my house. So I knew I had to buy land, but I really wanted to make like a laboratory of art and permaculture. And then it turned out to also be a temple, and I served medicine. This all just started to happen. So, yeah, like I cannot believe, but it's actually happening. We live there out in the nature. We have a big family, great people, like amazing people. And for example, we go once a month to a friend house. We take a little bit of medicine to ayahuasca just to connect with the earth. And then we start to work in the garden all together with the drums, with our kids. The kids are playing, the people is dancing and singing and working. And you pass the whole day working. After the day is finished, like the garden is incredible. Everybody's so happy. We sing, we dance, we play. It's like, for me, this is technology as well. This is a very powerful technology. And it just makes sense, when you are there and experiencing it, and you're like, oh my God, like this is something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And again, anybody with interest, reach out to Franco on Instagram. We'll definitely have it posted here.
Hmm.
I think just in closing, if someone is sitting in front of this painting or another one of your paintings, or sitting in ceremony with you, or a circle with you, or anybody for that matter, someone who is carrying a higher frequency, like, what's the invitation for them?
Hmm. Well, I really insist in this. And when I'm making ceremony, I always say that the the movement and the singing is our bows in the spiritual world. So for me, this is one of the most strong ways to, you know, just keep going deeper and just learn to expand your frequency, get in touch with yourself through colors, through dancing, through your voice. We tend to put all these things like art, and then we are like, oh, but I'm not an artist. And for artists, then you need talent and you need to satisfy an audience, and you have like all these things that they have put in our minds about art. But this is, yeah, this is art, but it's also much more than that. So if we only connect to the artistic part of this, is one thing. But if we realize that these are actually tools to connect with ourselves, with our spirit, then it takes like complete different value. And it's really not about making something beautiful
Mm.
or having somebody clap to you and say, oh, you're amazing. It's different. Like with the singing, I tell my students just say ah, and let the music come to you instead of you trying or I'm gonna learn a song. Yeah, it's beautiful to sing a song, but to begin with, like a song is the masterpiece of the teachers, you know, like the songs we know are the masterpieces of the. So it's like saying, oh, I'm gonna start to paint, so I'm gonna paint a Picasso, you know? So it like relax, you know, and just connect to art through yourself, through the connection with yourself. And this will open a lot of doors.
Perfect. Dude, I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah,
This
thank
was,
you.
yeah, it was divine perfection how it
Hmm,
all unfolded.
hmm,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thanks for being here. I love you, brother.
Thank you. I love you too, man.
Yeah.